Welcome back to All Things Witchy. I am Tabby the Herbal Witch, and this month for Black History, I am going to discuss Black culture and its connection to magic and African spirituality. The first story that I want to bring to you is about Tituba, the enslaved woman that was accused in 1692 during the Salem witch trials. So I have my notebook here. Let's get started. All right, so records show that she was from Barbados, and she was brought from Barbados to Salem, Massachusetts by Reverend Samuel Parris. At this time, they believed that Reverend Parris was probably not married at this time when he brought Tituba to the colonies. And so records just show that it was the two of them that traveled from Barbados to Massachusetts. Later on, of course, Reverend Parris gets married and he has children, and Tituba is entrusted with the care of these children. The daughters that she was entrusted with were Betty and Abigail Parris. And over time, these girls grew to be very close to Tituba, and of course, she became close to the girls. As time went on, Betty and Abigail began to experience some strange illness, and a doctor is called in, and this doctor, after examining the girls, says that he believes that someone is performing witchcraft on the girls. And so this, of course, prompts questioning, wondering who is close to the girls. And so the girls then blame Tituba as the one who is performing witchcraft on them. Of course, Tituba denies these accusations, and because she is an enslaved woman, she is at the mercy of her master at the time, the one who she worked for. And so that would be the Reverend Samuel Parris. It is reported that Reverend Samuel Parris beat Tituba until she confessed to performing witchcraft on his daughters. Once she made that confession, others began to accuse Tituba of performing witchcraft. So at this point in history, during this time, when a woman or anyone was accused of performing witchcraft or having dealings with the devil, their fate was sealed. At this point, it was going to be you confess and possibly survive, or you don't confess and you die. So Tituba, being the smart person that she was, she decided to go along with this and confess. Not only was she going to confess, she blamed other women in Salem for performing witchcraft as well. She blaming other women for getting her involved in witchcraft. And the women that she blamed was Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. The other women refused to confess, of course. This, to them, came out of nowhere. They felt that they were good, upstanding citizens, of course. And so this was something that was a survival technique for Tituba. You know, looking back, this was her way of making sure that she was able to survive these accusations. So Tituba told the magistrates when they were questioning her that Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne, the Sarahs, that they had performed magic on the girls and that Tituba had witnessed this. She also said that when she witnessed this, the Sarahs bullied her into also performing magic on the girls to torture them. So while Tituba confessed and while she was saying these things, the girls fell silent. And so this was evidence to the magistrates that what Tituba was saying was true. Tituba said that she could see the spirits that Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne had sent to torture the girls. And while Tituba made this accusation about the Sarahs, she then somehow became blind and unable to speak. This also made the magistrates feel that Tituba was telling the truth. So the next thing that happened was Tituba was then interviewed in her jail cell. And she tells the magistrates about signing the devil's book. And this book contained the signatures in blood of other witches in Salem. She talks of there being some sort of conspiracy where the other witches would meet together in the homes of their masters, and they would perform magical work in the homes, and they would also perform magic to hide what they were doing. So this let the magistrates know that there was definitely some sort of conspiracy happening in Salem pertaining to witchcraft. She also stated that not only did she know of other witches, but that the devil himself showed her this book and these signatures, and that she saw the signatures of Sarah Osborne and Sarah Good. So, once again, more people started reporting to have been bewitched or had spirits set upon them by the Sarahs and other people that they started naming within Salem. Okay, and what these people had to say lined up exactly with what Tituba had been saying. Why did it add up? Why was it so perfectly in line with what she said? It's because that all of them were there when Tituba gave her confession. So of course they were able to remember what she said and make connections to other people. Now history has told us that all of these people who made accusations, they had their own personal reasons why they made accusations. And of course, a lot of these accusations were false, if not all of them were false. Maybe there were people there performing witchcraft in Salem. Maybe they weren't, but they had their personal reasons, and they knew that accusing someone of witchcraft was almost sentencing them to death. So just think about that. So anyway, after Tituba confessed, and after all of these other accusations came to light, Tituba was seen as a confessed witch, and therefore she was no longer a threat. Okay? So, history has shown us that people who confessed, they were not executed. And so this, of course, saved Tituba's life. She was sent to prison for a year, and in 1693, when the magistrates tried to bring up the charges in court, they were then dismissed because at this point, the accusations were seen as ridiculous. Of course, people started naming people more higher up in society, and it was just all seen as ridiculous. At this point, Tituba was seen as just a crazy enslaved woman that made up stuff. And Samuel Parris was so upset that he refused to pay her bail to get her out of jail. So he ended up selling her to another English settler in Salem. After that, history loses track of Tituba. We don't know what happened to her. We don't know, whether or not she stayed in Salem. The records kind of disappear when it comes to her. For me, Tituba's story is important because her story was out of the norm. At the time when people were being accused of witchcraft, during the 1680s and 1690s, they weren't accusing people of color. They weren't accusing enslaved people because they did not think that enslaved people were smart enough or cunning enough to be a part of some sort of conspiracy to bring the devil into their Puritan society. What was strange is that it took 2 girls getting ill and a doctor to say that someone had performed witchcraft. And then it wasn't a leap from that point. I think Tituba was a brave woman, especially to name others that that it really could have been a death sentence for her. They really could have said from the beginning, you know what, you're crazy. You're just naming people for no reason and we're going to get rid of you. But she saw it as, if I play along, I may survive this thing. And that is exactly what she did. She survived so that we could do what we do now. All right, guys. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe.